bigger in 26. Chairman Schrader, thank you so much.
As Chairman Cheney would say, he learned the lesson. So get up, say what you're going to say, and go sit down. So that's a pretty easy way to go. And I would be remiss if I didn't invite our dear friend, our great Congressman Bob Latta to the stage to say hello to you as well tonight. I always joke with Bob that it's almost useless for us to have him to dinner to talk to you because you all have his phone number anyway. Or you're going to see him at SPPS's church dinner next week. Or he's at hardest, and I mean this sincerely, I'm not kidding, the hardest working congressman in Washington is the congressman that represents you in Ohio's 5th District, Bob Latta.
Well, I know the hour is late, and I might be the last on the speaking here, but let me just say this. First of all, you live in the greatest country on earth. There's no question about it. This year, on April the 18th, we celebrated the 250th anniversary of Paul Revere's, Dawes, and Prescott's ride. And on that night, they left Boston and rode through a countryside saying not that the redcoats were out, but the regulars were out. The Minutemen heard that cry, and on the next morning, on April the 19th, in 1775, on Lexington Green, they assembled under John Parker. When the British got there, they were told to lay down their weapons and go home. But no one knows to this day who fired that first shot. But that was the first shot of the American Revolutionary War. The British marched to Concord to take American prisoners, but they also wanted the powder. And what they did there was something that never anybody had imagined. The Americans met them at the bridge, and the order was given to fire. And that's the shot that really started our revolution to where we are today as a nation. Next year, on the 4th of July, we celebrate that anniversary of 250 years of liberty. 250 years of liberty in this country. You know, our relatives came to this country and settled for a better life. You know, Mark Keeney's and my relatives here in Putnam County, you know, the Statuettes and the Keeneys, they were coming here in the 1840s from Germany and France for a better life. Not for themselves, but for their next generation. And that's why it's so important that we preserve this Constitution that we have here today. And you heard our next governor also talk about it, but there are polls out there today that say that Americans believe that the next generation is not going to have a better life than this current generation. We have to prove them wrong. We have to. Because when I look around and I see younger people here, I want to make sure that when I'm in Washington, I'm casting votes to help them, not hurt them. And as you heard Bernie say, well, we did our work in the House, we got it to the Senate. I'll tell you the joke that we have. The Democrats are our opponents, the Senate is our enemy. That's the joke in Washington. And so we've got it over to the Senate. Now they got to get their work done. Next week, on the 30th, at 12 o'clock at night, this government runs out of money.
Oh.
And there's going to be a government shutdown. Don't let anybody say that the Republicans caused it. It's Chuck Schumer and Jeffries who are the ones who shut this government down if it happens. But we have to do something because today we have a $37 trillion debt that we're paying $1 trillion on a year. Does anybody have $1 trillion in here? I can still remember when farm prices were going up in the 1970s. I was over at the farm, which I was always over about every weekend, at my grandparents'. And I can still remember my grandfather went to a one-room schoolhouse on the corner of the farm for the 8th grade. And I can still remember him doing this. He handed me a pencil and a pen because some people in a pad we had approached him to buy the farm. And he said, I want you to figure this out. How can you make this work? And he shoved the paper over to me, and before I even started to try to do a calculation, he said, I'm going to tell you something, it won't work. That's what we learned at our local level, and that our heritage tells us we can't spend beyond our means. But it's so important that we remember this. We've got to do everything we possibly can to hand this off to the next generation. We have to make sure that the words in our Constitution live on in our Declaration of Independence. So I want to do this. I want to first of all thank everybody in this room, everyone, because there's people not just from Putnam, but from around the 5th District and parts of the district at which we're back in the 5th District. But I want to thank you. You give me an opportunity to serve you. I mean this, and Father has just had to leave, but I'm going to say this right now. I thank God every day for this opportunity. I thank the people of this district every day for this opportunity. This is, as I said, a country we're fighting for.